Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. If you're new, my name is Missy. I am 39 years old and I'm currently pregnant for the second time with our second little baby. I had my first son 2 years ago and got pregnant this spring, and we are about to have this baby. Technically the due date is March 2nd, 2022, but I have a feeling it's going to be mid-February. I have no idea why. I just have this feeling. With this pregnancy, I did not use IVF or any kind of medications. We were able to conceive quickly, and I am so grateful for that, not complaining whatsoever. I got pregnant at 38 and I turned 39, so I'm 39 now. This is our last pregnancy and we don't know the sex of the baby, and we are planning on a home birth here, right behind me, right there. And I have all my home birth stuff packed up, ready to go. I did a separate video on that, everything that's in there, and my postpartum stuff is over there in the bathroom, ready to go. The only thing I need to do is put the pack and play in here because baby's gonna sleep in there for the first at least week, if probably longer. This video is for month 9. I'm obviously going to give birth before I film all of these updates, so I don't know when this video is gonna come out. Probably after baby is born. Well, let me just get into it. So I am currently 36 weeks in 1 day. I went to our prenatal visit yesterday. That was our last 2-week appointment. Now I'm on the weekly cycle. Our birth center that we go to is about an hour away, so it's a little bit of a half-day adventure, let's say. But we went to the birth center, and if you watched my 8-month video, you will know that I left that off kind of sad. I was really upset because I had pretty much all throughout month 8 my, I think it's fundal height, I believe. The measurement of your belly from like your, I guess it's like the top of your belly all the way down to your pubic bone. It should align in centimeters with how many weeks you are. So I'm 36. My belly should technically be about 36 centimeters. With my first pregnancy in Paul, it was like dead on every single week. So I didn't have this issue. But about, I think it started around week 33, I started measuring bigger, and it was about 2 to 3 centimeters bigger. So the last time I went, I was 2 centimeters bigger than I should have been, and we got my glucose test results, and I passed, but I was on the like very last number to consider pass and almost over. And when the midwife felt my belly, she could feel the baby wasn't breached, the baby's head down, but the head was not engaged or in my pelvis as much as she would like. So because of those 3 things, she recommended a 3rd trimester sonogram. Now, she did tell me not to freak out. It's just to make sure everything's okay. But of course, I went home, told my husband, told my mom, told my girlfriends, and of course I freaked out. I was really upset. I also have, if you're new here, I have perinatal anxiety, and I am seeing a therapist weekly for that. So that is also a factor in hormones. And I was very, very upset. I was just terrified something was wrong. I was terrified also of not being able to have a home birth or a birth center birth, and they were going to send me to a hospital. With my first son, with my first baby, we had planned on going to the birth center, but he came way too fast, and I ended up having him here at home. So we did have a home birth, but kind of an unplanned home birth. So I've never had a birth in a hospital experience. It's not that I'm against hospitals, it's just scary because I haven't ever done it. So that was kind of freaking me out, and I went and did that alone with my toddler, who was acting all sorts of crazy. So it was a very stressful day. I think I touched on it lately. I'm not going to go into it, but we also had family drama at the end of the week. So that same week, it started with there could be a problem with baby, and it ended with family drama. So it was awful. I had insomnia. I had a couple of panic attacks, but it is okay. We went to the doctor yesterday. I am still measuring larger, but she recommended, let me back up. When I left, she told me not to freak out. She told me to try to avoid sweets, which I was not doing. I was eating like crazy, anything I could find on my face. Beef up my protein intake, and she told me to wear a belly band like religiously to help support baby and encourage baby to go down or engage in my pelvis. So I wore the belly band religiously every day. I have it on right now. We went to the appointment yesterday. Matt did come with me, so in case, I told him I'm like 99% sure everything's okay, but in the small percent it's not, I will not be okay. I had already planned on, my girlfriend lives close, and I was like, I'm just gonna drive to her house if something is wrong, and you will have to come pick me up from there or something. But that didn't happen. Matt took off of work, we went up there. I'm still measuring 2 centimeters bigger. I saw a different midwife this time. She was very reassuring. She told me that, you know, don't worry about it. It's totally fine. What are your concerns? And I said my concern was that I would not be able to have a home birth or a birth center birth. And she's like, nope, nope, you're fine. We're not going to kick you out for something like that. And then she felt around my belly and she told me she couldn't even feel the head because the head is so far down, which is great. She took the baby's vitals and the heartbeat sounded great. My blood pressure sounded great. We just kind of talked about things. I told her how my anxiety had spiked. So we were just talking about anxiety and postpartum depression, all that good stuff, which I did have with my first. I did not have this perineal anxiety with my first pregnancy, but I had really horrible postpartum depression that kicked in like 2 or 3 days afterwards. It was really bad and it lasted a very long time. I'm terrified of that happening again, but if it does, I have therapists and we're kind of preparing as much as we can for that, as much as you can prepare for that. So we left there, we had the 3rd sonogram. So because we don't know the sex, the sonographer lady, she turned the monitor so I couldn't see, and she was doing measurements. She said, baby, 6.5 pounds. If you do the math on 36 weeks, that's a pound a week they're gaining about. So that's like a 9 to 10 pound baby, which is kind of what we're expecting. Paul was 9.5 pounds. My mom had 3 of us, and each of us were heavier than the next, and we were all 9+ pound babies. So I fully expect, being that I am 5'11", my husband's 6 foot, that this is not going to be a puny baby. I've accepted that. That's fine by me. Doesn't bother me. She said my amniotic fluid looked great. The placenta was in a great position. She used some term, I can never remember what it is, but the placenta looks fine. She showed it to me and showed me the headshots live. So I did see some headshots, which was really cool. And then she took like 4 pictures, and it was really funny because she handed it to me and I was like, oh my God, they're so cute. And I was like, I don't know what any of those are. I showed it to Matt. I was like, look at these pictures. I think they're headshots, but the baby was moving around too much so we couldn't see. So we left that being very happy. I was able to I told my mom, immediately texted my mom in the car, and I like copy paste my sisters and my best friends. So it was just a huge relief for that. And then when we got home at 7 o'clock, we had a Zoom with the birth center. They hold this thing called a birthday preparation. We went in person with Paul. That was right before COVID. Now with COVID, it's on Zoom, and it was all the mamas in their practice that are 36 weeks and above. And it's held on like the first Thursday of every month. So it just goes through everything. It goes through all their phone numbers, what to do, and everything they were talking about is in their book that they gave us. I kind of showed that in the home birth prep video that I did. This birth center just does an amazing job. And they have this book that has like everything in it. Checklists, and they were talking about how when baby's born, there's a checklist in there to measure like their temperature and stuff like that, how many dirty diapers they should have. All the information is in the book. I just need to go in and flag it. It's actually right on my dresser so that Matt, if he needs it, doesn't have to go searching through. I'll take like the post-it flags and just kind of flag all the sections. So we went over that. And then once I was prepared with that this morning, I had already asked my best friends, they're local, they're gonna come here to, you know, help with me, mostly just as a comfort blanket. Like I told them, I'm such at peace knowing that they'll be here. And also, I love them, but all of our family is out of state. So once baby's born, they will go back to their homes. Nobody will be staying here. That's kind of what triggered my postpartum depression last time, and postpartum PTSD was, and this is what I wanted. I wanted all the grandparents here, staying here, and then after the fact, it was way too much. It was very overstimulating, very overwhelming, and I just wanted to lay in bed with my snuggly little baby, and it didn't happen, and I suffered for it. So this time around, after baby's born, we're just gonna have peace and quiet in our home, bonding, healing, learning new baby. My son has been, you know, the rock star of the show for the past 2 years, so I'm sure he's gonna have some adjusting, being, you know, not top priority. Poor Mo, my dog, has now been slided down to 3rd slot, but just dealing with all of those. So it's nice to get this like off my chest. But I do have, it's not stress insomnia at this point. It's like busy insomnia. So this week I've had 3 nights where I've gotten up at 2 a.m. was when I was getting up and I was just stressed out of my mind and having anxiety attacks. Now I'm getting up at like 4:35. It's like a little too early. I don't want to get up, so I just listen to a podcast in bed and then get up. But it's just kind of like all the stuff we have to do because we are depending on the baby's room getting painted. It's painted, it's done. Furniture is going in there, but I had to order a new mattress, which came. I had to order some more flannel receiving blankets because that's what the midwives requested for the home birth. That's here washed. I have that over there. I just have to grab a couple more things. I have to make a hospital bag just in case. So there's just like a few more things. I think this weekend I'll be able to knock them out, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to sleep. Maybe, we shall see. But that was everything I wanted to fill you in on. So I'm doing a lot better. I'm very happy. I'm still like crazy motivated this week. So I am looking at what to expect when you're expecting. Baby is the size of a bunch of kale, 18 to 19 pounds. Oh my God, 18 to 19 inches, 6 pounds. The sonographer told me the baby was 6.5 pounds yesterday. I think it was 57 percentile or something. So right on the money. This is week 36, month 9, only a few more weeks to go. It's saying growth will slow down a little bit so that the baby can build up and store energy needed for delivery. Your baby's skull bones are not fused together yet, so the head can easily maneuver through the birth canal. Your baby's skull isn't the only soft structure in their body. Most of their bones and cartilage are quite soft as well, allowing for easier journey into this world. And then something about digestion. Let's see what it says about me. It says, pregnancy walk or waddle. By now you're probably doing the penguin waddle many third trimester moms do. The new walk is not in your imagination. It's in your connective tissue, which those hormones are loosening and softening. Pelvic pain. The downside to all this joint flexibility, besides the resemblance you now bear to your feathered friend, is pelvic pain and the pressure from your baby's head burrowing deeper and deeper into your pelvis and heavier and your uterus weighing you down. No wonder it's a pain to walk around these days. So I had horrific hip and pelvic pain almost like the last month and a half, 2 months with my first pregnancy. I do not have that at all, but I have noticed if I'm walking around and doing stuff, it's okay. But if I'm sitting for a long period of time, I do get, oh my God, my pelvis is just like, I need a minute. I stand and I'm just like, oh my God. And I walk around and it's okay. At night, I am laying on one side till that hip hurts, shift to the other side till that hip hurts, and then I go to the bathroom. And it's not always so much just to pee, it's to something about just walking the short distance from my side of the bed here to the bathroom, like resets my hips, if that makes sense. I've noticed that I sleep better if I just get up and do that short walk, use the bathroom, come back, than if I just keep flipping sides. So then I flip and I just do that. I do my left side, right side, get up, pee, get back in bed, left side, right side, pee. And that seems to be okay. Sometimes when I get up, my pelvis hurts, but it's not really that big of a deal and it doesn't last very long. But if I sit in Indian style on the floor, like for our hour-long Zoom, or if I sit on the floor, you know, calling my mom or whatever, my hips, my pelvis will really hurt when I stand up. I don't like sitting on the couch at this point. It's very uncomfortable. I don't like sitting on stools for very long. I can sit on my birthing ball, but after a while my back just gets like tired. So the only place I really sit is like our dining room chair for short periods of time. But if for some reason I'm sitting there for a long time, it doesn't really happen. Sometimes my pelvic bone will hurt, but I am not complaining because it was very different. The 2 pregnancies are so crazy different. It's like my first pregnancy had such physical issues, no morning sickness, physical issues, then crazy postpartum. This pregnancy had crazy morning sickness, then severe mental health issues, and physically has not been too bad. It's nuts. So I think that's why most of my friends and family think it's a girl because it's so different. But I honestly have no idea. I feel like with Paul, before we knew, I knew it was a boy, but I honestly don't know. It could be either. So we shall find out by the time this video comes out. If you follow me on Instagram, you already know the sex of the baby. So anyway, I rambled a lot. That was a lot for week 36. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling organized. Baby's happy. I'm happy. And we are just ready for baby to come. I have a guess. It's going to be week 38. So there may be only 2 updates on this video, but we shall see. But I will see you next week. Hey friends, welcome to week 36. I'm getting big, as you can see, and I just got back today from the birth center, so this is now I'm on my weekly prenatal appointments? Sure. So I went there. They're not really that exciting. They just go in there to check in and then you leave. We're there for about an hour or so, I'd say. So she measured my belly. That was the big thing. Over the last few appointments, my belly has been measuring big. So she measured me. It was actually the same midwife as last time, as 36 centimeters, and I'm 36 weeks. So maybe the baby moved. Who the heck knows? But she said the baby position is really, really good. The heartbeat was really good. I can't remember what she said. It was, I think, 133 to 135. And my blood pressure was really good. 116 over 80 something. I think. I don't know if I got my blood pressure right or not. My blood pressure is usually kind of like on the low side anyway, but she said all looked good. She felt the baby. Baby was head down. Rump was on my left side and little feet were on my right side. And then we just kind of talked about a whole bunch of things, especially since I was kind of alone. Matt was there with me last time. So she was asking me, I told her about, you know, my mental health and the struggles that I've had, the anxiety that I have, and kind of stress about everything moving forward. So she had recommended, the birth center recommends after you give birth, especially for home birth, to stay in bed for 2 days, don't leave the house for 2 weeks, and take it easy for 2 months is the 2-2-2 rule. And she said she likes that, but she actually wanted to take that one step further and encouraged me to try to stay in bed for 2 weeks if I can. She said it just really helps with healing, both physically, and she said there's been studies that show that it helps with mental healing as well, that women who stayed in bed longer were less likely to have postpartum depression and anxiety and all that good stuff, which is kind of what I'm afraid of having. And then she recommended a book. I haven't purchased it yet. It's from Amazon. I'll try to put it right here and link it below. It was The First 40 Days. And she said in her words, the book was written beautifully and it had like a lot of good recipes and whatnot. I just searched it real fast while I was like waiting to check out, and it is on Amazon, but I haven't really looked at it. So I think I'm gonna get that. And then what she recommended is, she's actually not one of the midwives that's full-time at the birth center, which drives me nuts because I love her so much. I've had her a couple times now. She actually is traveling in Europe with her family for 2 years and came back for 6 weeks to stay in the United States and help one of her best friends have a home birth with twins. She's going to be there. Sorry, I keep burping. She's going to be there at the birth. And she says she has her own practice in Frederick, Maryland, which is a little bit of a hike from where we live. Not that she would, you know, take me on as a client or anything, but after kind of like thinking about it way too late in the game, we knew we were going to have a home birth. I was thinking I probably should just research home birth midwives like in the area. I feel like I might have been able to get not better service, but like more catered to service. Like with my doula, it's like, you know, I just feel like she's like there for me, where like the birth center is kind of more of a doctor's office kind of situation-ish. But anyway, she was saying with her practice that she is really focused on postpartum for moms and, you know, prenatal. So what she usually does, and it's just included, is, you know, she has all your prenatal appointments there at the birth, and then she visits your house. Obviously she's there when the baby's born. The next day, day 3, day 5, day 7, what else did she say? Week 2, week 4, and week 6. She does home visits to check in, and she's a lactation consultant and really just kind of check in with mom. And I've always said that after I gave birth, you kind of like feel forgotten about. Like you have so many questions and you're just in need of all of the support. And I've always read about like some European countries have this beautiful postpartum support for moms. And we just don't have it here in the United States. We don't. I think there's like a 2-week appointment afterwards that the birth center does for me. There might be a 6-week, but it's still really focused on baby because baby's there. So anyway, she had recommended it might be interesting to look into a postpartum doula. So I'm going to quickly look up the doula that I have for my home birth. I don't think she does postpartum. I'm pretty sure she doesn't. So I just want to look at her website real fast to make sure she doesn't. And then I'm going to ask her, you know, play dumb too. Do you do postpartum, or do you know, or can you recommend a postpartum doula, and see what she says? I really love and trust her. She was my doula with Paul as well. So her opinion with me goes a really long way. So I think I'm going to look into that. My mental health is doing really, really well right now. Like I said, I've been in weekly therapy. It's really been helping, and kind of just, I like the terminology she uses. She's been talking about having pillow people. So right now I just need people around me that are supportive, like a pillow. So we have mutual trust, mutual love for each other, mutual respect for each other. And if people aren't meeting that criteria, it doesn't mean I'm cutting them out of my life. I'm just like tabling that relationship for a little bit, because I just can't have them be around me right now. So there's been a couple instances, like I said, with family, where I'm just kind of letting, you know, Matt kind of deal with it. He has to be the main person dealing with issues or whatever you. I physically like cannot handle it, because it just spikes my anxiety. So that's, Matt's been doing that, and he's been really supportive and wonderful. So I don't have to worry about some things that I've been worrying about postpartum, like what if this happens and this person isn't happy with this, because I'm not even going to know about it because Matt's taking care of it. So that was like, because I'm trying to not have the crazy postpartum that I had with Paul. I have mentioned it before. I had him in January. I didn't reach out for help till July. I think it was my first therapy appointment, and I suffered way too long. And it got to the point where I just told Matt, like, I feel like a burden. I feel like I'm making everything more complicated, and you know, you and Paul would be better off without me. That's how low I got before I reached help, and I do not want to do that again. I already have it set up. I have therapy sessions weekly already scheduled through my due date, and then I have them scheduled weekly after my due date, so that I am just like set. I already have that. I don't have to worry about appointments. That's what's going on. So that's mental health update. You know, I'm doing pretty well. I'm pretty happy at the moment, but I do know that it doesn't take much to rock the boat at this point. I'm hormonal. I am just very, you know, it's day to day basically. So just trying to stay positive, stay happy, and get excited. Nesting wise, it's going really, really well. I have newborn and 0 to 3 month clothes washed. I have them put up in the closet. We still have, you know, stuff all over the room, but I don't really care. The pack and play is set up in our bedroom. I just have to wash. I have like a fitted sheet in there. I just need to wash. We have diapers, wipes, powder, swaddles, all ready to go. The only like microscopic thing is Matt hasn't put the car seat in yet, but it's a Graco click and connect, and he was moving that constantly between cars and whatnot. So he's a pro at it. We just need to put it in the car, and then that's kind of good. Oh, my emergency hospital bag is packed. That's ready to go. My home birth stuff is ready to go. My postpartum stuff is ready to go. I have postpartum snacks here at the house that I got at Target. It's like I am ready to go. And then one of my friends was joking, like, what if you go full 40 weeks? I'm like, oh my God, that's a whole nother month. And I've like done everything already, but we shall see. I still think baby's coming at week 38, just because Paul came at 38. So we shall see if that actually happens or not. So to get into some stats, this is what to expect when you're expecting. Today I am 37 weeks. Didn't I say I was 36? I think I said I was 36. I am not. I am 37 weeks. Good Lord. So 37 weeks. Baby is the size of a canary melon, 19 inches, 6.5 pounds, 3 weeks to go. At this point, baby's packing in about ½ ounce per day, or ½ pound per week. And by the end of week 38, which would be, oh boy, next week. Well, I turn 38 weeks next week. So the next week, baby is considered early term. At this age, the average fetus weighs around 6 pounds. I think Paul, like I said, was 9.5 pounds. So I have a feeling this baby's going to be heavier. Baby was already 6 pounds last week when we had the sonogram. So it's getting a little crowded in your uterus. So baby may not be kicking as much. Instead, you may feel baby stretching, rolling, wiggling, all that good stuff. Baby is definitely moving around. I can feel baby moving around quite often, especially at night. It's like almost like wake and sleep cycles. Like I won't feel much, and then all of a sudden I'll just feel like a lot of movement going on and stretching. So right now your little baby is rehearsing for birth. They're simulating breathing by inhaling and exhaling amniotic fluid, sucking on his or her thumb, blinking, pivoting from side to side. One day you will feel his little bottom on the left side, and the next it'll be flipped to the right side. Okay, so that's pretty much everything with baby. Let's see what's going on with me. So this is nothing uber exciting. This is kind of just really just talking about the cervix and dilation and what that means during labor. So, you know, I have been getting some wicked heartburn at night. It's always at night. We lay down and some days it doesn't really bother me. I've been trying the papaya enzymes and I swear they do absolutely nothing. I was mentioning it to the midwife again and she was talking about apple cider vinegar water. A million weeks ago when I had horrible morning sickness in the first trimester, I had talked about not only doing apple cider vinegar water in the morning, but I would do it like later in the evening, and it did dramatically help my nausea. So I'm going to try that again. I have apple cider vinegar. It's about like a tablespoon. I put about a tablespoon to a pint of water, and then I just kind of try to drink it quickly. And then you can even like rinse off. I know some people are worried about it with your teeth, like enamel or whatever. I've never really had that as a concern, but you can, you know, swish your mouth out afterwards, which is regular water. So I'm going to try that. I also have the gas pains when I lay down at night. It's like, I swear it feels like a contraction or a cramp. And I'm like, I bet this is gas. And it's all lower abdomen. So then I get up to go to the bathroom and it's gas. So I've had that probably for about a month now. The heartburn just kind of made its appearance within the last week or so. One of them was really severe and I had to have Matt go get me a ginger ale at like midnight. And I was taking the ginger ale and like taking little sips like constantly, trying to get like a Homer Simpson kind of burp out. And I finally did. It took about 20 minutes, but like I could not lay down. It was like a sharp pain and it's really high. It's like up here. So joys. I think I talked about this before, but all of my maternity shirts, most of them, except for like 2, are too small for me belly wise. Like they're almost like belly shirts. I had 2 that just kept popping up and I was like, donation, because I think I've talked about this before. This is our last baby that we're having, our last pregnancy. So it's nice that I don't have to put any of this away. So when I'm done with stuff, it's getting purged. So I have like literally the same rotation of like maybe 4 or 5 shirts I'm wearing at this point. I don't even want to wear my baggy non-maternity clothes because I don't want to stretch them out. So that's kind of funny. But yeah, I think that's everything for week 37. Make sure I say that correctly. So next week will be week 38, the big week. Will it happen? We shall see. So on to week 38. Hey friends, I am at week 38 and I'm feeling huge. So not a lot have changed, but like a couple of little things. We went to the birth center earlier, what was that, yesterday? That was yesterday. And everything checked out, everything looks great. And I think I've said this before, but when you go to the birth center, it's definitely a different experience than an OB. And I know every provider is completely different. So one of my girlfriends was asking me what exactly they do. The birth center that I go to is midwifes. They don't check your cervix at all. So you go there, they take my blood pressure, they take the baby's heart rate, they ask me what my weight is. I just happen to weigh myself every week, but they don't use that as a measure. They just ask if you've taken your weight. If you haven't, that's not a big deal. And then they feel around your abdomen to feel where baby is. So that's pretty much what they do every week, and that's it. And then you sit there and just talk about any issues you have, questions you have, concerns. They tell you anything that's coming up. So I took the GBS test. I don't know what that stands for, but I know if you fail it, you have to take antibiotics, I believe is what that test is for. So mine was negative, so I'm good. I didn't want antibiotics. I'm not a big antibiotic person. I'm more of like the whole gut bacteria kind of movement thing. You can look that up if you don't know what I'm talking about. So that was good news. The midwife felt my belly and said that baby was in an awesome position, head down. Their spine is facing out. Their little feet were off to the side. They're good to go. Heartbeat sounded great. So this was the midwife that I like, that is really close to me. She's about 10 minutes away from me. The birth center is like an hour away from me, so it's kind of convenient. I had talked about that there's a midwife there that I don't 100% trust. She's the one that like messed up my blood work. She told me, first of all, going into it, that she wasn't good at taking blood, and then just, she seems very nice but very frazzled. But from when I was talking to the midwife close to me, she was saying that it sounds like she would be going to my birth because she physically lives closer to me. And I was like, yes. So that was potentially good news. That's pretty much all that went on that week, or went on this week at the birth center. Physically wise, just this past week, my feet started swelling at night. So it's like I wake up, they're fine. They're fine now. It's about 1 o'clock, and about from like 3 to when I go to bed, my feet both swell. My right foot swells a lot more. And I think, we were trying to think back, I have severely twisted my ankle twice in my life, and I'm pretty sure it was my right side. I think it was. That one drastically swells more than the other ones, to the point where I can't wear my socks anymore. So I am now wearing mat socks if I have to go out. Luckily, we have had really mild weather. It's about 60 degrees today, but it's like really cloudy. So when I went to get the mail, I just actually wore my flip-flops, which worked out well. So my feet are swelling, and within the last couple days, I've noticed that I'm just getting a lot more tired, even in the morning. I used to have like energy through lunch, and then I'd start to fade. Now it's like I have energy through breakfast, and then I start to fade. So Paula's getting a lot more TV time than I would like. We basically had breakfast, I cleaned up, and then we sat there, and he likes this Netflix show called Trash Trucks. It's about 12 minutes long. So I let him watch 2 of those, and I sat there and read my book about postpartum. It's called The First 40 Days. I'm really liking it. So I read for about a half hour or so. And then we got up and did a couple things. We had lunch, and he's been really tired. Something's been going on with him. I don't know if he's getting like a growth spurt or something, but his sleep is all over the place. So he had an accident. He peed through his pants. So we went upstairs. He wasn't really eating lunch anyway. Then I could tell he just wanted to go to sleep. So he probably went to sleep about 1:30, I'm gonna guess. So anyway, I'm swollen feet. I'm really, really like tired. Not that I'm going to like fall asleep tired. I'm just like physically can't do anything. This weather isn't helping either. Tomorrow's supposed to be really warm and sunny. We'll see if I have more energy. But I was thinking maybe that means something's happening. I will say that I am 38. Let me check my app. Oh, this told me the day. It just says 38 weeks. I must be 38 weeks today. So I'm 38 weeks exactly today. And I had Paul at, I think it was 38 weeks and 4 days. So I am like mentally preparing. In 4 days, I'm going to go into labor. Will it happen? I don't know. You know, every single pregnancy is so different. Up until this point, comparing my first and second pregnancy, like polar opposites. So why would I expect them to go labor the same time? I don't know. Watch this baby go the full 40 weeks. That probably would not be a bad thing. So I'm on the What to Expect When You're Expecting app, and it just asked me if I had my baby, and I was like, no. So baby is the size of a mini watermelon. I would believe that. That's what it feels like. So it's guesstimating. Baby's weighing in at about 7 pounds, measuring about 20 inches. I think I measured before. I think I've said it before. Paul was a big baby. He was 9.5 pounds and 21 inches long. Only 2 to 4 more weeks before your baby makes their appearance. It says baby is preparing for the big day. They're shedding their vernix and langungo. I know the vernix is like, it's like a coating on their skin to protect their skin, I believe. I don't know what that other one is. It's LANUGO. Your baby is also swallowing amniotic fluid, some of which winds up in her intestines, basically working on the baby's first bowel movement, which is called meconium. I think that's how you pronounce it. He or she is continuing to add fat and fine-tune her brain and nervous system. I'll see what it says about me, if anything. While you're waiting for baby to arrive, think of these last weeks as dress rehearsal for life with your new arrival. Sleepless nights, a little anxiety, leaky breasts. My breasts have not leaked yet. Yes, it's true. Many pregnant women find that they start leaking colostrum, a thin, yellowish liquid, the precursor to breast milk, sometime in the 3rd trimester. I haven't really seen that yet, so. And it just said if you're leaking colostrum, you might want to start wearing nursing pads now. But that's kind of interesting. Your baby's eyes right now are blue, gray, or brown, but once they're exposed to light, they may change color or shade. By the time your baby turns 1, you'll know their true eye color. That's interesting. I didn't know that. That's pretty much everything going on. Week 38, like I said, I got swollen feet. I feel huge. I'm getting really tired. I lose a lot of energy. So we shall see if I'm filming a week 39. So maybe there is another week. If so, let's go to week 39. Hey everyone, we made it to week 39. I can't believe I'm at week 39. I almost didn't make it to week 39. Today I went to the birth center and I'm like trying to be on time with my weekly updates because I feel like a time bomb at this point, like I could go at any time. So it is, what day is this? Wednesday and Friday, so I was 38 weeks and like 3 days. I woke up and my belly was all hard, which is exactly what it was when I went into labor with Paul. I did my normal morning routine. I laid down to take a nap around 1 when Paul was sleeping. And I woke up to like menstruation type. Menstruation? Why does that sound weird? Menstruation? Period cramps. Like period cramps in my lower abdomen. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going into labor. It's the Friday before a 30-day weekend. I'm 38 and a half weeks. This is like repeating superstitiously exactly like my first birth. So I kind of just like, I called Matt right away and I told him that I think it's time. I'm having contractions, and I just kind of like relaxed. I took some soup out of the freezer that I had made, chicken noodle soup, because I knew that's what I wanted to eat after I gave birth. So that was thawing. I did a couple little things here and there. I let my girlfriends know. I called Matt, I think I said that. Called Matt at work, let my girlfriends know. Of course I let my mom and my sisters know that I think baby's coming. I was tracking the contractions, and in case you're curious, I really like the Glow series. So it's Glow, I think, is what you track your period on. Nurture is what you track when I'm tracking my pregnancy on, and then Glow Baby is once the baby's born. And I did pay for the membership one, and your data kind of just like flows throughout the app, so it's really nice. But the Nurture app, which I did use with my first pregnancy, and it did not have a contraction counter before. It now has a contraction counter. So I was keeping track of my contractions, and they were all less than a minute, and they were about 10 to 12 minutes apart. So I was like, okay, whatever. So I called my doula and midwife, let them know, and they were like, kind of let us know when they're about 5 minutes apart. My doula was here with Paul and knew that I went really fast, so she was just kind of like, you know, how's it going, keeping me in the loop. So at about like 5-ish, I told my girlfriends to go ahead and come over because they live about an hour away. One of them had to deal with traffic, so I didn't want her to get stuck by any means or miss anything. So they came over. We got Chick-fil-A for dinner. We were kind of just all hanging out, and I was having these contractions. They still were about the same. I was able to talk through them. I wasn't bending over. They weren't excruciating, and they're always about a minute, and they'd shortened to about every 5 minutes or so. I let the midwife know. She came over. Everybody got here around 7, I would say, and I got examined by the midwife. She asked if my water had broken. I said no. And then she asked if she could do a cervical, or look at see if I was dilated, whatever that's called. So I was like, okay, yeah, that's fine. So we went upstairs. I'm still having contractions, but I noticed when I was sitting on the floor, they would stop. They were happening when I was walking around or standing. So we go upstairs, they check my cervix, and my cervix is not even remotely dilated. And my water had not broken, not that that really super means anything, but they basically told me that I wasn't in active labor, that I was in prodromal labor. If that's not what it is, I'll put it right here. It's another name for false labor. So what they had described to me is basically baby was not in the exact position, so my cervix was moving baby into the right position. Baby is head down. I know there's terms for these, but I think at this point baby was kind of more spine aligned with my spine a little bit, and instead of having their spine sticking out on my belly on my right or my left side. So that was not what I wanted to hear. I got a little upset. So this is now probably about 11 p.m. when we called it and said, you know, why don't we just stop? So my contractions at that point were kind of like fading. So I had done a bunch of exercises with my doula. She tried all these things to try to get baby to move or engage or labor to start. Nothing was happening. So we kind of made the call to just like, you know, pack it up and go home, which made me really upset because I had now basically been having these super mild contractions for 8 hours and focusing on 8 hours and literally thinking like, okay, you know, sometime tonight I'm going to be holding baby. Tomorrow I'm not going to be pregnant, you know, thinking like that. So I was pretty bummed and depressed, but then my doula kind of told me it in this way. She said that you've been doing this for 8 hours, you're tired, you've been on your feet. If you were to go into active labor now with the track of Paul, it could be another 6 hours. So you're going to be up all night long laboring. That's not fun. You want to go lay down, take a nap, and, you know, see what happens. So I was like, okay, that perspective made sense to me. So I went to lay down and I had contractions on and off pretty much all night. I didn't really sleep very well. I woke up really upset. I'm hormonal too, so not being able to sleep, really wanting to meet baby, having these contractions and letting family know that, you know, you're in labor, and then having to tell them that you're not in labor kind of stinks. So all of that was just like took a toll. And then Saturday I was just out for the count. It was like I was sick without being sick. I'd be up for like a couple hours, eat something, and I'd be so exhausted, and I'd lay down and sleep for an hour or two and then get up. So luckily Matt was home. Matt was taking care of Paul. So it was all good. And then Sunday I kind of woke up my normal self. So here we are today, Wednesday. Still no baby. I'm still very tight. I've been doing a lot of exercises. I've been doing the Bradley method, pelvic tilts on all fours, on and off all day. Sorry, the hiccups. I'm trying to make sure that baby stays in the right position with spine out. There's still a head down. So we went to the birth center today. And the one thing that I did with Paul that I did not do with this baby is the birth center has adjacent to it, or right next to it, a pregnancy chiropractor. There's probably a better name for that. She does pregnancy and new babies are her specialty. And like she will go to, if you're her client and you're giving birth next door at the birth center, she'll come and adjust you while you're in labor and that good stuff. So I had not seen her. I did see her almost every appointment that I had with Paul. And then after Paul was born, we took him to the chiropractor. I got adjusted, Matt got adjusted. And then the pandemic kind of was doing its thing. So we kind of stopped, and I hadn't gone in, I think Paul was probably about 6 months when we stopped going. So it had been about a year and a half. So my doula had said, I really recommend that you get adjusted. So I had pinged Emily to see if she was by chance open on Saturday, which she was, but didn't have any appointments. And then I asked her if she had any appointments on Monday because it was a federal holiday and Matt was home, and she didn't, but she did have an open appointment today right before my prenatal appointment. So I snagged it. She adjusted my hips were out of alignment and my shoulders were really tight, probably from all the anxiety I've had. So I feel a lot better. I got adjusted, and I have an appointment next week if I make it to 40 weeks to get adjusted, because Matt's going to come with me now because I just don't trust myself driving an hour. I've said it a million times. The birth center where I get my prenatal appointments is an hour away, and I'm 39 weeks pregnant now. So he's been coming with me. So because he's coming with me, I feel a little bit better, less stressed, you know, with managing Paul and stuff. So I'm going to get adjusted again if we make it that far. But if we don't, then I'm going to do the after the baby's born, like blanking on terms. After the baby's born, I'm going to take the newborn to get adjusted. It's not, if you've never taken a newborn to a specialist chiropractor, it's not what you think. They're not like cracking the baby's neck by any means. It's more of just kind of really like massage. It really helped Paul with gas. I noticed a big difference when he was a baby and had gas pains. Like the day he went to the chiropractor and the next day he was good, and then it would like come right back. So we'll probably go back to doing that. I really missed Emily. She was great. She is actually pregnant and due in April. So we shall see how long I actually see her, but she has somebody else in her practice who's phenomenal. Erica. I was blanking on my name. So anyway, that was the drama that happened. I got adjusted this morning, went to the prenatal, saw the midwife that I absolutely love, who is not doing home births. And she just said, you know, things look great. You know, just keep doing what you're doing. She recommended magnesium, a certain type of magnesium. So I was using Calm, and it wasn't really helping with my hip pain at night. So that's magnesium citrate. She recommended magnesium, this kind, for pregnancy. So I'm going to start taking that tonight, see if that helps any, because I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. After Friday, I've been trying to stay on my left side a lot to make sure baby stays in the right position. So my hip pain has appeared with a vengeance. So has my swollen feet. My swollen feet used to be just in the afternoon, evening. Now it's like an all day thing, and I'm hot all the time. So I took my cardigan off. I think baby's coming in the next few days. I hope this doesn't turn into like a 41 or 42 week pregnancy. We shall see. But anyway, so she recommended and to start using primrose oil to either orally, or you can insert it in your vaginal cavity up to the cervix to kind of help soften the cervix. So I ordered some of that from Thrive as we were driving home. I don't know when it will get here. If it'll even get here on time, we shall see. But everything else looked good. My blood pressure was good. Baby's heart rate was good. When she was taking the baby's heart rate, it had hiccups. I've never felt it before, but it was like you could see it because I was laying on my back, that my belly was like, you know, every few seconds was like, she's like, oh, baby's having hiccups. So that was kind of sweet. So everything else, you know, is the same about. So let me see. I'm going to check my what to expect when you're expecting app. Also, every time I log in to some of my apps, it asks me if I had the baby yet. I'm like, no, I have not. 39 weeks, baby is the size of a honeydew melon, 19 to 21 inches long, 7 to 8 pounds, 1 week to go. And at 39 weeks, you've got what is officially called a full-term baby. Your baby's skin has now finally changed from a pink tinted to a white. No matter what the eventual color will be, pigmentation occurs soon following birth. That's because a thicker fat layer has been deposited over the baby's blood vessels, making your baby's cheek pinchably and kissably round. It's cute. So that's everything for baby. See if it has anything for mom. You're probably feeling increasingly uncomfortable. Yes. Plus your pelvis is feeling achier and achier as your baby bears down. Yes. Braxton Hicks contractions are likely increasing in strength and frequency. Yes. I mean, my whole belly just gets so hard all the time. Like if I'm laying down and get up, it's hard. If I'm walking around too much, it's hard. Like it's just big. So Braxton Hicks, yes. And then it talks about signs of labor, or preparing for a C-section if that's what's happening with you. So I did say since Friday when I had that episode, my feet are now constantly swollen. I'm constantly hot. I've had Braxton Hicks. And then TMI, but it's like, you know, nobody tells you about. I had a lovely hemorrhoid pop up. So I have that going on as well, on top of everything else. But luckily, where mine is, I'm not gonna get too detailed. It doesn't impact when I sit. It's just when I go to the bathroom and wipe, I noticed it and was like, oh, what is this? So my midwife gave me a couple things to try to help that, but she said it's so absurdly common with pregnancy, especially this late in the game. She said you're almost lucky you haven't had any until now. So, and it's not even that big of a deal. Like I said, I just kind of noticed it, but it doesn't cause me pain by any means. That is everything for week 39. Will I be here for week 40? I do not know, so let's see. I will see you next week, maybe? Well, I am here. It is a week 40. I'm struggling, to be honest. Yeah, everything is just big and heavy and uncomfortable. I wouldn't say that I'm in pain, but my uncomfortable level is pretty high. And I have realized, we went to the birth center yesterday. My blood pressure is good. Baby's heart rate is good. I also went to the chiropractor and got adjusted. You know, they're asking if I had any signs of contractions or anything, and I don't. So next week at 41 weeks is when my appointment will be an hour, and they're going to try different things. And I think she said that we do a sonogram too, just to make sure baby's okay. And there's some kind of kit that they give me with tinctures to bring home to try. So I have been trying this week to induce labor. I've been doing the red raspberry leaf tea. I was doing that quite often, like 4 or 5 times a day. And I would notice like a little mild cramping or maybe contraction-like behavior, but it would only last a little bit and then go away. I've tried walking very slowly. I don't like to walk by myself because I can't keep up with Paul, and I definitely can't walk Mo, so it has to be like on the weekends or when Matt's available to walk, which hasn't been very frequent. So we did 2 walks this weekend very, very slowly, and they honestly completely wore me out. I've been doing just the Bradley exercises, the pelvic tilts kind of thing. But as of yesterday, my chiropractor, who has five or six kids, I think, and she did home birth and all natural and everything, she was telling me to start pumping, to pump 15 minutes on one side, 15 minutes on the other side, and see what that does, and to do that when Paul is sleeping. But I just didn't get to it yesterday, but I'll explain that in a second. So to have that in my pocket, then my midwife said that she was like, you can certainly do breast pumping. We recommend it at 41 weeks. So it was like, not that she was saying not to, but you didn't have to till 41 weeks. It's very conflicting advice, I guess. So I don't know. So there's that. And then she told us about evening primrose oil capsules, which I did buy on Thrive. They came, I have them. And she said to take one and prick it with a pin and insert it vaginally. And just like with all the pressure and stuff, it's like, oh God, that's like the last thing I want to do. I don't know. We'll see. I have it. But last night, well, yesterday in general, I noticed it's a drive an hour to the birth center. Matt was driving because my feet were so swollen that it's really hard for me to get shoes on, and I can't even imagine trying to work pedals. But on top of that, just sitting in the car with like the vibrations was making my whole belly like so much pressure and Braxton Hicks. And it was to the point on the way home, like if Matt swerved or hit a pothole, like I was bracing stuff because it's so hard to describe. It doesn't hurt, but it's like uncomfortable level like 10 when that happens. It almost feels like gas pain, but there's never any gas. I notice it when I'm sitting. Like if I'm sitting in a chair now, I can sit like this for a little bit, but then I start to get this like pressure feeling, and it feels like you have gas, like you have to release gas really bad and you're holding it in and you get that feeling, but there's no gas to release. So I'm thinking it's just pressure. So I had that all day. I did take a little power nap when we got home. Then later in the evening around 6 or so, we don't use the changing table for Paul anymore. We change his diaper on the floor. So I was in his room on the floor changing his diaper like I always do, and then I got on all fours, and then the way I kind of get up is I will bend one leg, leaving one hand on the floor and kind of using my like left arm on that bent leg to brace myself to stand up. And when I did that, I felt this extremely powerful, sharp, ripping pain. The only way I can describe it, I apologize, TMI, is like in my crotch. And like I was expecting there to be blood everywhere, like not labor or like, it was just so much intense pain. And then I stood up through it, and I was just like bracing the wall. I was calling Matt, but he never hears me when I call him in the house. I almost screamed when it happened, and then I almost started crying, and I just had to wait a second, and then it kind of went away, the intense pain, and then it was very, very sore. So I waddled downstairs, finished making dinner, we sat down, had dinner, I went upstairs. I barely could make it up the stairs because my crotch hurt so bad. I mean, I'm sure it's your pelvis, but that's the way I would describe it. It was in my crotch area. Barely made it up the stairs and laid down, and then to get out of bed was so insanely painful or uncomfortable. I'm going to keep using uncomfortable because when I say this, it hurts painfully wise. I did text my doula because she texts, always right back. And she said, I explained it and I said, is that lightning crotch? Because I've never actually had that. And she said, it does sound like lightning crotch. It does go away. And then I said, I'm still sore, and it's like 2 hours later. And she said, it's totally normal. But she said, if you wake up and you still feel bad, definitely call the midwives, or if you want to call them now. I didn't want to call them because it's like an on-call number. It's not like you have direct access to one of them, the midwives. So I did take Tylenol and went to bed, and I was able to get up, but I had to from walking from my bed to the bathroom, I had to kind of brace myself on the wall a little bit because my crotch was just walking was so sore. So I didn't sleep well at all last night. And then this morning was very sore, but getting better. I did take more Tylenol, trying to walk around. So Paul is 2 years old and 1 month, and he has discovered Pixar, especially Cars. So I don't usually like to watch movies, but there's like absolutely no way that I could like do anything to entertain him. So we put on Cars and I just laid on the couch. And if I didn't move, I was okay. But then getting up from the couch was hard, and it was just a really rough morning. And then I took Tylenol finally around 10. I don't know why I waited so long. I think I just forgot about it. Around 10 a.m. I took Tylenol. So then around like 11, I started to feel a little bit better. It's about 4 o'clock now. So I put Paul down a little bit later. Around 2 was when I could finally convince him to go upstairs to take a nap. And then I laid down and slept for probably about a half hour and just laid in bed. And then I got up and moved around a little bit. It's still, pain definitely went away, which is good. But I still feel this like immense pressure down. And when I was looking up articles on lightning crotch, it's like all over the place. Like some women report it. It's apparently common in your 3rd trimester, but some women report it early. Then some women were saying that they got it and then went into labor right away, which is kind of what I was wondering. I just saw, and these are not articles, they're like community posts, really. So you have to take everything with a grain of salt. And then I saw another woman had wrote that she got really bad lightning crotch because her baby dropped. I don't know if that's what happened. I do feel lower, but I don't know. I'm just very uncomfortable. Very, very uncomfortable. And it's like, I can't really sit on the couch because I'm uncomfortable. So like right now sitting in the chair, and now it's starting to build up. I have that like gas pressure feeling in my belly, and my belly right now is rock hard. So I go through these cycles of, they're not contractions, I'm gonna say cramps. So cramping and Braxton Hicks just on and off all day long. And it's just, you can't really get comfortable. I am at the end. Baby is coming at some point in the near future, I hope. I don't think it's today, but hopefully in the next few days, and I don't make it to the 41-week appointment. That's what I'm hoping. But yeah, I'm very tired, just kind of worn out. I was ready for baby to get here 2 Fridays ago when I had that false labor. I guess that was 38 weeks at the time. I was ready for baby then. I'm very ready for baby now. So we're just kind of hanging out, I guess. I think I had talked about this before, but my midwife had recommended, especially with my mental health struggles, this book, The First 40 Years. And I will put this on my blog of things that I needed for my pregnancy. And it really goes into first 40 years, the first 40 days. Good Lord, Missy. It talks about the first 40 days of postpartum and how important that is. So I am going to be practicing this with my second pregnancy. I did not with my first pregnancy. With my first pregnancy, I was so prepared for pregnancy and birth. And then once baby was born, I was like totally clueless. I don't know if anybody else felt that way. I had no idea what was going on, and it was just a hot mess. And I did not fare well whatsoever. And so now I've been like, okay, pregnancy, different than Paul's, but you know, we got this. Labor, it is what it is. You can prepare for that as much as you want. But postpartum, I'm taking very seriously. So I think what I'm going to do is vlog my postpartum journey. I think I might do the same thing I did with my pregnancy. I don't know for how long, we'll see. But I think I'm going to vlog weekly and then do like a 1 month postpartum, 2 month postpartum, and just kind of talk about really everything about me, mom, not so much baby, but what I'm going through and what is working, what is not working. So hopefully that is something that you're interested in. And if so, let me know in the comments below. But I think that's what I'm going to do as soon as this little munchkin decides to come. Yes, week 40, very uncomfortable. I think that's all I have. I'm not even gonna look at the app. I don't care. The baby's big. The baby's big, long, and ready to come. I don't know if I mentioned this before. Baby is in a good position now. They're head down engaged. Their back is on my left side and they're kicking me on my right side. So when I go into labor and my uterus spins them ever so slightly, they will be spine out, not spine against my spine, which you can have a baby. It's just, I've heard it's more painful. Paul did the same thing. He was tilted to the left side, and then when I gave birth, he spun. So he was spine out and came out very quickly. So anyway, that's all I have for week 40. I really hope I don't see you again for week 41, but I might. Thanks.